Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. This is a video about the General's Handbook that's coming out in summer 2025 for Age of Sigmar 4. Now, it's fair to say that there's been a lot of online criticism of Age of Sigmar 4, and some of it is definitely worth considering. List writing is a little bit too simple. Sometimes it's the same units all the time. Books, battle tomes have got some pretty bad internal balance. Those are really fair points, and there's a lot to discuss on those points. Maybe if you'd like to, bring them up in the comments, or we could discuss it in the future. However, the General's Handbook, or the seasonal changes that we get every year, it's effectively the season that we're playing. We're coming to the last 3 months of the season we're currently in, is a great opportunity for the game to really refresh itself. Now, these General's Handbooks are written a year ahead of time, so that means that this one probably isn't going to address many of these issues that we have. However, there has been some really amazing news that got posted at the bottom of an article about 2 weeks ago that I really want to talk about today. So I want to talk about the positive feelings I have towards Age of Sigmar coming up to the summer. So I'm going to go into the article now and kind of talk about the pros and cons of what we can expect, or at least think we might be seeing from the new General's Handbook. So it's at the bottom of the Adepticon preview, and it's kind of weird, and I think a fair criticism of what I'm feeling about Age of Sigmar is Games Workshop seems hyper-focused on talking about Spearhead. New Age of Sigmar news that came out from Adepticon, which was pretty thin, was the first half of this entire art document is just different Spearheads that are coming out. Me personally, I'm not overly interested in Spearhead. I like playing 2,000-point match play Age of Sigmar. So I have to scroll down to the bottom just to find out about it, which, that feels a little bit uncomfortable. But we're going to kind of move that to the side, and we're going to look at what Age of Sigmar's Brat Summer could be. While Spearhead is moving to Sheesh, the battles of match play are shifting to Garan for a season of blossoms, bloodshed in the realms, and life. Okay, so this is really important. We're currently obviously battling in the realm of fire. Now we're going to be battling in the realm of life. We also have all of our GHB special rules that we've got. So your Sergeant rule that just came out in the Battle Scroll update recently, your Honor Guard rules, which are all the GHB core rules, as well as the 12 missions. So those will all be going away, and we'll be getting a new bunch of missions and maybe a new bunch of battle tactics. Actually, we'll talk more about battle tactics in a minute because there's actually quite a lot to break down. But going to a new realm is pretty fun because we might see a whole bunch of new story and new narrative that's added to being in a different realm, which is really positive because there'll be one more GHB if they stick to the 3-year cycle, which might mean for the last General's Handbook that will happen next summer, we might end up in another realm as well, which is good because I was a little bit concerned that we're going to stick in the realm of fire because that would be pretty boring as the first 2 editions of Age of Sigmar were based in the realm of fire, and there are 8 to choose from. So I'm happy about that. Okay, so for the first time, it comes in a box that contains a General's Handbook, battle plan cards, war scroll cards for manifestations and associated spell laws, and 6 objective marker mats made from flexible PET material that you can start playing right away. Now, for a lot of people, it being in its own box is fine. A lot of people do pick this up. I personally don't generally tend to pick this up because it's only going to last for a year. It's a pretty high asking price to only pick up for a year. So I personally don't. I just use resources that are online. One of the interesting things straight off the bat you'll notice with the objective markers is they have little symbols on them. And if you take a quick zoom and enhance on the battle plan cards, you'll see that the objectives placed on the board correspond to some of these symbols. You'll also see that there aren't an equal amount. There's 2 red, 2 green, 1 purple, and 1 blue. This probably means that some of the missions are going to say things like, if you hold 2 greens, then you get some bonus points, or if you hold a blue or something else. Now, fans of Spearhead will know that this is similar to how Spearhead works. Me personally, that's not something I'm super excited about because it kind of makes me feel like I'll have to get the box if I want to be able to follow those battle plans and do that way and use that system. However, obviously, I can always just write on some stickers, make my own tokens, put them on some objectives or something similar. I think there's also going to be a lot of criticism, which I think is really fair. The Games Workshop are kind of making it a must-buy because you need the tokens to correspond with the images on the cards, etc., etc. And I think that's a really valid criticism to bring up. One that I initially emotionally reacted to, not the best. But it is what it is. The Games Workshop can Games Workshop, and that's how it works. Now, some of the other big news here is both the scoring on the primary objectives is going to change. So that's going to be a big change up for people who want something new. But also, and this is huge, battle tactics, as you can see up in this little picture image here, are going to change as well. So the battle tactics system, I've never been a fan of. Ever since Age of Sigmar 1 and 2, where it was only about holding objectives, they added in Age of Sigmar 3 battle tactics. At one point, we were even affectionately in the community describing them as battle chores. You must go to X, you must do Y. I think two things about this. Number one, I think they're incredibly good for a bunch of players to handhold them through several turns of playing a game. It's a complicated game playing Warhammer and being told, okay, you've got 6 missions you can choose from. Which one do you think you can do? I can do that. Achieving it and then being able to do it every turn is a big endorphin rush. But I think it's also fair to say that that does mean that your strategy can be a little bit railroaded in a direction. You must do X. You must do X every turn, which means you can sometimes feel like the game is kind of playing itself for you. That's going to be a real bonus for some people. Absolutely, which I really support. And I think that's a really good thing. But also I think it's a little bit, it can feel a little bit like claustrophobic. And also it can define the meta. It really can if your army is really good at being very fast. As an example, several of the battle tactics at the moment are about getting in your opponent's territory or getting near terrain or something similar. So deep striking units and fast units are very functional for that. You see that in list writing as well. But those, it seems, are changing. And they're not just changing a little bit, they're changing drastically. Now, for someone like me, that's actually a really exciting thing. It looks like what happens is you write your battle tactic on your army list, and then you go through a series of missions. We don't know any more information than that, but that's what it seems to be so far. I would be happy to step away from the current battle tactic system. Moving into a new battle tactic system, whether or not I think it's going to be a good or bad idea, because that feels like that could also be very railroady, you know, go point A, go point B, and it's written on your army list, so you can't even be dynamic. But it's also a big change on how you're going to play on the tabletop, which is good. I think Age of Sigmar really needs that. I think the battle tactic system was never good. And then, just like I said, the grand strategy system wasn't good, and we got rid of the grand strategy system. And I'm really, really happy about that. I would have liked to have seen them not called battle tactics and maybe seen them called something else, because I think that's a little bit confusing if you're just jumping back into the game, or if you're taking a little bit of time off and you're like, oh, how do I do a battle tactic now? You're like, well, it's like this. And you're like, oh, so do I pick it in the turn? You're like, nope, it's completely different. Did you write it on your list? Like, no, I didn't know I had to. That's a little bit disappointing. And I would have liked to have seen it called a different name. That would have been really fun. So, but I think that's a good change up. I think for a lot of people, that is going to be a really healthy, exciting, and I'd like to talk about these changes as something that are exciting. I think I'm the first person to take it at Games Workshop if I think that they're not doing good with the game or they're doing something silly. But I'm trying to stay really positive about it, because what I'd like to see in the summer when the new GHB comes out is I'd like to see people excited out there on the tabletops, playing games, being excited about the game. And I can only see this as a positive change, because we're moving away from one type of negative, in my opinion, to something more interesting, which is fun. The objective token thing, I think, is a little shitty, but I'm hoping we can work around that, because we're a community, we're sensible, and we definitely can. Okay, so those are those changes, but that's not what's super exciting about the summer coming up. We can ignore new battle tactics and 12 new battle plan maps. That's also a really exciting thing. 12 new missions to play. Games Workshop traditionally make like 4 or 5 of them good. Gives them another shot to make almost 12 of them good. That's very fun. However, we'll have more tactics soon, but expect significant changes to battle tactics. The system shifts to a series of sequential goals. You select part of your army composition, which we said already. But that's not all for Age of Sigmar. This is the bit that's really good. Scourge Grand is almost upon us. In the weeks leading up to the new General's Handbook, every faction will receive free content, from new enhancement choices to entire battle formations, okay? Which will be legal for match play as soon as the book lands. They'll all be available for download on the app as well. Now, this is, I think, Games Workshop's, because it takes them a year to print a book, so they made that book a year ago, that GHB, they probably wrote that book before Age of Sigmar 4 even launched, right? This is an opportunity for them to directly, very quickly respond. I would say that that's why the current Battle Scroll felt like they didn't do a lot of work on it, or my hope at least, is because we're going to see a huge dump of new stuff to make list writing more interesting, make army composition more interesting, and a bunch of those other things, which I think is another criticism that people have of Age of Sigmar 4. So I'm actually very excited about that. I've been calling it Age of Sigmar's Brat Summer. I'm hot on this. I think this is good. They just did something similar for Age of Sigmar at Christmas and also for 40k. If for Christmas, they released a bunch of Regiments of Renown. Now, I covered all of those and reviewed them. Some of them were really bad and some of them were just okay, right? But they did try. With 40k, they did a much more like prodigious, massive release. And I can expect them to do something similar for AOS, because if they think that it really does need a boost in the arm, this is a way that they can do that, make it more interesting, build themselves more battle formations. Armies of Renown is another way of doing it. If they've just released the Uruks book, they think it's a little bit dull, they think that they can write you a new Cruel Boys Army of Renown to make it a little bit more interesting. That's just something they can put out for free. Ultimately, it will make them money because people should buy minis, which is good. Also, it's a great opportunity for them to do some community building and community management. They can just turn around and say, right, okay, we recognize we didn't nail it with your early edition book, so here's some big amendments that we're going to make. I think we could probably I think it's probably fair to say that I think a lot of people felt that way about the Gits, or at least the new Gits models. So being able to make them be out there is good. However, obviously, there's always a question mark around this. I'm being hopeful and I'm hyping you up because I want to hype you up. That's what my job is. My job is to, I think, is to tell you what's happening with the rules and the story and the books and everything like that. And then also to get you out playing games. There's nothing better for your mental health than going out, playing some games, meeting some people, having some fun. So I'm trying to hype you up about something that you spent a lot of money on, something you're excited about, and something that you're interested in. Because I often will say, this sucks, or that doesn't work, which is also sometimes gets people a little bit down. So I'm also trying to hype you up because this could be great. Now, it might also be terrible. They might just give everyone a battle formation, which is pick 3 units at the end of any turn, make a pile-in move on a 2+2 D3 mortals. They could easily do that as well. All right? They could easily do that, right? That's absolutely something they could do. But for now, I'm going to, especially with the way the world is, I'm just going to take the opportunity to see that and be personally excited. Let me know in the comments below which armies you want a new battle formation for. Enhancements is exciting. We could see new spell laws. We could see like a spell law for the realm of life that's usable by every army. Universal enhancements can be a problem. And I've talked about those in the past as well. I personally don't believe they should exist. I'd like to see more targeted special enhancements. I'd love to see Dark Oath get their own army of renown for just Dark Oath that's badass and cool. I'd love to see that. I think that would be really fun. Maybe get the Gits Sunstealer part of Gits, or the Git mob Gits, get its own army of renown that's also really good as well. Like maybe they could really think it through, which it could be cool. And there's so many things that could happen. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to happen. But for now, I'm going to believe that we got the chance for a cool looking summer for Age of Sigmar. And don't forget, I will be covering every single one that they release. So if it sucks, I'll say, and if it's good, I'll hype it up, which is fun. So anyway, thanks for watching my video. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.